Welcome back, everyone, to episode 1, for real episode 1.
Real episode 1.
Of the RSP podcast. Eli was late as fuck to this recording. I don't think it even was meant to be recording necessarily, but when in Rome, you know, might as well do it while we're here. So, why were you so damn late?
Everybody in my family, and I don't know why this is, everybody in my family's retarded, and we've always, everybody runs at a late schedule. I don't know why. Like, throughout my life, I'll have, like, calls, or I'll get on Discord, and people will be like, "Whoa, what are you doing?" And I'll be like, I just got done eating dinner, and it's, like, 12 o'clock at night, and everybody's like, "You're lying," because I lie. I'm a notorious liar and gaslighter, and nobody believes me. So I don't know why. I think my parents just always ran at like fucking 5 hours behind everybody else. So it always means I end up showing up late to shit because they're like, "Oh, like my mom literally." This is real. My mom literally asked me. It's like fucking 10 o'clock. I should have been here like fucking 2 hours ago. It's like 10 o'clock, and my mom's like, "Would you like some food? Do you want to eat?" Like, and we're gonna like, and I was trying to think that through in my head, and I was like, she's essentially asking me, "Do you want to sit down for like 2 hours and have dinner before we go?" And that would essentially have me being here at like 12. So
Jesus.
Yeah.
I feel like my parents eat late. Like they will, like, you know, usually most people eat dinner around like 5 or 6, but with our parents it's like, or with my parents it's like 7, 8 usually. Especially when they're cooking. Like, if they pick something up, it's usually a bit earlier, but they like to cook like hella late.
Well,
it might be an old person thing. Actually, maybe not even, because the older you get, I feel, the later, you know, like, you ever have grandparents who go to bed at like 8 p.m. like all the time, like consistently?
Yeah.
I don't know. It may be, I don't know.
But I was just thinking about that. I was trying to like rationalize that in my head and think to how we got to that moment. And I was just thinking like, I imagine like me being a parent, and I imagine it's 10 o'clock at night.
And your kid needs to go
somewhere. And my kid needs to go somewhere. And I mean, to be fair, like, I just realized like we sound like such cunts because I'm 21 years old.
Yeah, we both are.
My parents are still driving me, so like, I just realized like I should be driving myself, but I'm not gonna do that. So I'm never gonna drive.
Right, you'll just have everyone else drive you everywhere you need to go. Like,
let's talk about that.
Like,
why do you think we don't drive?
I don't drive mainly because I'm just like terrified of it. Like, I just feel like there's going to be a moment where I'm driving and I'm just going to like forget that it's like real life and it's not like a video game, and I'm just going to like make a turn too hard. Like, I'm just not, I don't know. It's for me, I feel like I can drive pretty decently. It's just like highways that freak me out. Like, the moment you get to high speeds, I just feel like I lose all control over the car, and it's like...
Not me.
You love high speeds?
I do excellent under pressure. I love... The faster the car, the more comfortable I feel.
Nah.
Sometimes when I'm driving on the highway, I'll just press on the gas, and my stepdad will be like, "Yeah, what are you doing? Take your foot off the gas."
I've actually been told I drive too fast. Like, everyone who's driven with me says I drive too fast. And I feel like that's such bullshit. Like, I'm in a car, I need to go somewhere... I'm under the speed limit. Why is going fast a bad thing? I'm trying to get from point A to point B in a timely manner. I don't see the...
Yeah. Well, my stepdad, he really tested my manhood. He kind of bitched me out, which pissed me off. He was like... Because I was asking him... Because he taught me how to drive. And I was asking him, "So how do I drive compared to my sister?" And he was like, "Oh, yeah, your sister, like, is a lot more, like, reckless of a driver." And I was like, "So you're calling me a bitch, essentially. You're saying I'm, like, too afraid to drive reckless?" So I actually... Once he said that, I started driving faster, and yeah, I drive just as reckless as everybody else. What are you talking about? So,
yeah, I seriously think I'm just gonna like disassociate while driving. Like, I'll just be in like the highway and just like forget about everything I'm doing, and then get into an accident. Honestly, I wouldn't feel bad about getting in an accident. I just don't want to like hit someone's car, because then I got to pay like the insurance and stuff. Like my
I don't
insurance
feel bad about ending families. I just care about...
I'm saying the complete opposite. I'm saying I would feel bad for the other people, not really me. Like, if I was on like a desolate road, I probably wouldn't worry as much. But on highways that are like kids in the back of vans and stuff, like waving at me, making faces, and it distracts me and it makes me laugh. Like that Simpsons bit.
But I always think back to like
GTA.
That and high school, and I think about like the different paths that we take in life and how me and you ended up, look at us, two handsome guys, white, which I'm not saying that's like important, but like let's be honest, it's a plus. It definitely like adds.
We're both 6 foot.
We're definitely both 6 foot, like two studs, and we're
6+ inches.
Yes, and we're both driving to, like, we're both bumming rides off our parents, and sometimes I think that, I mean, the way, when people ask me, because people ask me this question, they'll be like, and people ask, and the annoying thing is not that people ask the question, the annoying thing is people ask the question 10 times.
I think Josh has asked me that question like
it's not even
times.
Like, it's one thing if it's your friends and family, but it's one thing if it's, like, random coworkers. Like, I work with my university, and the people I work alongside, they're like, why don't you drive? And I always have to, like, tell them the same story, and it's not annoying until you tell the same story, like, 10 times. Because every time I need to drive somewhere, I hit the group chat, and I'm like, hey, does anybody mind giving me a ride? Because I'm a degenerate, and I use people. But everybody always asks that, and I just kind of say the same thing. I'm like, yeah, I just don't have a lot of experience. I don't have my car up here. I do actually have a car, I just don't drive it.
I'm the same.
But they're essentially like, why don't you drive? And I just tell people it's never something I needed to do. I did like 3 things in high school, which was train, play video games, and go to school. So like all those things, like only one of those things ever really requires driving. And
I just played video games. I didn't even go to school.
Me and my mom went to the same school. Like she worked at the school that I went to. So
by the end of COVID, I wasn't even doing school. I would just like turn in like the bare minimum on assignments and play video games even during class, which was pretty fun. Like Bloons Tower Defense, it's such like a mindless game. I could just have Zoom in the background and just fuck around and do whatever.
That what a fucking mind trip COVID year was.
It's so strange.
What is the weirdest thing that you became normal in your schedule like during COVID year?
I guess just
because I was jerking off like 10 times a day during COVID year in class.
Yeah, I think there's actually a picture of you doing that. I think mine was just like staying at home for like days on end. Like I was expecting something along the lines of like, yeah, like I probably drank too much coffee, and you're like, I fucking did not leave the house for 6 months. No, see, there would be like it would be like days, like sometimes like a week or two, where I would just stay inside because there was literally no reason for me to leave the house. Mm-hmm. It was especially that way in high school, not so much in college, because there wasn't anything to do during peak COVID time. Like not that there wasn't anything to do. It was that everything was just shut down. Yeah. If you couldn't even hang out when you wanted to. We did hang out like a couple times, but it was always a whole hassle. Everyone had to wear masks. We all my god, it was such a deal.
Do you remember when we went to
bowling?
When we went to the cabin. So for the context for the audience, we have a mutual friend whose family member owns a hunting cabin in like the middle of the woods. And occasionally we'll all kind of, our friend group, the Avengers, will assemble and we'll actually all go out to this cabin and day drink and fuck and do a bunch of drugs and shit. And, we've done like, it's only been like a couple times, but it's been a pretty interesting experience. But I know during COVID we like did a cabin trip and like my mom was like fucking crying.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Well, cause like I have a bunch of like family members who work at like hospitals and stuff.
I do too. Both my parents are I'm the same way. Like both of my parents work at hospitals. So did my grandma. So does like sisters, uncles, aunts, and stuff. A lot of my family has worked in the hospital industry, which is really funny because all of them are like. Why are you wearing it they are like pretty conservative, to be honest, but they're all like, oh, like it's like stupid for people to wear masks in certain situations, especially whenever it's like a group of friends who we all know like aren't positive for COVID. Like no one would show up to a group of friends and give them COVID.
I still have people in my classes, like when I go to like my last semester when I was doing a law class, I had this one dude that showed up every day in a mask, and I genuinely believe there's a positive correlation between people who still wear masks and like ugliness. Because I've seen this dude on Instagram, ugly as shit, and I mean, I kind of understand why he's covering that shit up. I mean, I would too.
To be honest, I'm pretty insecure about my looks and stuff. So I did actually sort of enjoy the fact that I could wear a mask. Actually, it might not have entirely just been like to hide like my face. It was also just like the idea that like no one knows who like I am. I feel like a Batman.
What the fuck?
I feel like Batman.
You're like, I
love
mask. That nobody could tell who I was.
I could like
into
I could
house.
punch someone and like they wouldn't know who. Like it was just like, oh, he was a guy with like brown hair, like white guy with a mask. That describes everyone on my campus.
Yeah.
I could get away with so much shit. I don't know.
I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm like I'm in love with the way I look, but I just think the mask it was such a fucking hassle, especially if you wear glasses.
Oh yeah.
Like it was such a hassle, and I don't understand why anybody would want that. And I wasn't one of those people during COVID who was like, let me fucking, this mask is like making me uncomfortable, so let me not wear it. I just put up with it, but like once people said that like, it's okay, you can go outside.
It's like recommended, not implore. Like you didn't have to.
At that point, I was like, okay, I think I'll just take my chances.
I did the same.
But those fucking...
Especially if you wear earbuds, like how much shit is on your ear? You got glasses,
oh yeah,
mask,
it's worse.
Earbuds, headphones. There's so much.
Yeah, if you wear a hat and glasses and headphones, it's like suiting up in an Iron Man suit to put on a fucking mask.
Just to go to class and
Jarvis, activate my COVID mask. But yeah, that was actually like a nice time. Was that the cabin trip that we took during COVID? Was that the same cabin trip where we were all tripping?
I don't I'm pretty.
Was it that one or was it an earlier one?
I'm pretty sure Sebastian was there. Because wasn't he like coughing a bunch and we were all like, bro, you got COVID. You got COVID, man.
That could happen.
He was coughing like crazy. I think it was just like allergies or pollen or something. I honestly think he has asthma. Is that confirmed? Does he have asthma?
He's definitely genetically weak. He doesn't have strong genetics. You could tell by his jawline. He doesn't look very Aryan. Weak jawline.
4 foot,
weak
11.
Chin, not 6 foot. No.
Not one.
No squared jawline, no predator eyes, no protruding eyebrow ridge. Yeah, very weak genetics.
I think we ended up doing a graph of his face and his skeletal structure, and it just looked like a soy jack.
Yeah, it was very hunter gatherer, it was very agricultural farming, not very hunter gatherer. So it was not very masculine, very feminine.
That's why he always looks so hot with those female filters.
Yeah, low T. Yeah, very low testosterone for him. But that's really a him. I mean, we don't really have issues. I mean, we're both 6 foot, so
yeah,
we both have like a pretty.
I feel like that's one of like the greatest things genetically. It's also it's also like I feel like I'm.
You don't think maybe it's the.
I feel like it's.
You don't think it's the light skin?
I feel like it's awesome.
Which, let's be honest, is a plus. I'm not saying like it's better, but let's be honest, like that's something people.
If you're living in America, sure. But I really do think that like being 6 foot just rocks. Like it's so cool, like being able to stand in a crowd of people and all like be looking at their heads.
But you know what is different between, and it's so retarded, but what's different between you and me is I feel like nobody questions your 6 footness, and people will question me sometimes, genuinely, because I'm 6'1", 6'1.5" technically. If you're a woman, I'm 6'2", but I would say, like, there are people that are like, oh, I'm 6'1", and they're like an inch taller than me, and they'll be like, oh, let's stand next to each other, and they'll be like, oh, I'm 6'1", so you must be shorter than me, because you're an inch. And I'm like, no, I mean, I've been the same height since I was like in, like, I think I grew faster than everybody. Like, there was a period of time where I was way taller than everybody, and then everybody caught up. But I've been the same height, like, consistently going to the doctor for like 5 years now. It's always been 6'1.5". So I think that's just my fucking event horizon.
I was gonna say, I think I'm like a genetic freak because no one in my family is as tall as I am. Like no one is even close.
How tall is the mailman?
Like 7 something. It's pretty funny. My dad will make jokes. He'll like talk about me and my brother because we're both like he's about. I think my brother is just like 6 foot. And, you know, my dad will, like, you know, people will, like, come and like, oh, like, your boys are so tall. And my dad will be like, yeah, like, once we figure out who the father is, like, then we'll know where it came from. He'll make jokes like that all the time.
There's something about, like, stout. Like, is your dad, like, 5'10"? I bet so. He's, like, 5'11", 5'10". There's something about...
he's, like, 5'10", 5'9".
There's something about, like, stout men between, like, 5'9" and 5'11". It must be something like... It must be like God's sick, twisted mind. Because their sons are always 6 foot. But I wonder if that's maybe because... But the sons are always more passive. Like, my dad, I feel like, is way more aggressive than me. But I feel like that aggression, like, X-Men mutated his sperm. So now I'm 6 foot, but he's more aggressive.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's something about, like, aggressive, stout, like, men. They always produce 6 foot sons. It must be God's sick twisted way of saying you can't be this, but I'm gonna make sure your offspring are this, and they're gonna shove that in your face all the time. Because I talk about how much taller I am than my dad all the time.
For me, I feel like it's a dietary thing. Like, I just ate Chef Boyardee like a motherfucker when I was a kid.
Yes.
I feel like that did it for me.
You think that has the X gene in it?
I think it has like a secret sauce that the people at Chef Boyardee just like won't release.
They don't even know it. I don't even think they know it. It's from another world. It's being bleeded in through a black
from an alternate reality.
It's teneted. The Chef Boyardee recipe is tenet.
Tenet?
They sent it back from the
future to us to gift us the power to stop nuclear annihilation.
If you had to...
I love that movie.
If you had to looks max, if you could... Why'd you laugh at that?
No, I just think it's a funny term.
If you had to... If a looks max genie came to you and said he could grant you 3
wishes... If Will
wishes,
Smith genie came up to me...
If the Will Smith looks max
genie... From the live-action Aladdin.
What is the opposite of the soy jack? What is, like, the Chad one with the blonde hair that looks like PewDiePie?
I don't know the name for it.
The Chad Wojak. But anyway, you guys know what I'm talking about.
I don't know.
There's something
Giga
like,
Chad. I know that's not what you're talking about.
If
but I feel like
a genie who looked like that came to you and said he could give you like 5 Looks Max or 3 Looks Max straights, what would you pick?
It would probably be just natural buffness. Okay. Like, because I feel like I mean I'm just like I have a very high metabolism and can't really like I don't know just natural like just being buff like just like I can like do normal activities and still gain like still have the same muscle mass.
Yeah.
Probably like a stronger jawline, I feel, and just like I honestly, it's entirely possible I do have this gene, but just give me the gene to where like I just never bald. Like I just like even when even when I'm 80, I would just have luscious like gray locks.
Yes.
I feel like I actually might have that gene just because like my granddad on my mom's side, he was still like receding a little bit, but he still had like a full head of hair.
Yeah.
I think it's that Native American in him, and I really hope I get that.
Yeah.
That's real. If you saw my granddad,
he had that bison in him.
He had that
he had that bald eagle.
He had that roaming bison in him.
He had that crazy horse in him. He had that.
That crazy horse cock.
The fact that you answered that so seriously is actually making me think, because I was like, damn, that's actually...
You were just going to say, like, big feet or something?
I was going to say, like, fucking massive, like, joints. I was going to say, like...
Perfect flexibility. I can suck my own dick.
I was going to say, like, massive, because, like, you have guys that are big, but I always feel like, when people talk about, like, stature... I feel like a greater determining factor of like stature, more so than like muscle mass, is like the size of like your joints. So for example, like I would like our friend Josh, I would say I'm heavier than him.
Mutant, absolute mutant.
But Josh has like fucking like I think Josh has like so John Cena, the WWE wrestler, he has a form of gigantism where it's like it doesn't affect like your like overall body, but it affects like your features. So you have like big hands, big feet, and like
Street Fighter hands.
Yeah, you have like weird, you kind of like disproportionate features. So that's why like John Cena has like really kind of like a strange build, and I think Josh has that because like Josh has like fucking like he's regular size like
dude. He has monkey toes. Have you seen?
He's got like monkey. He's got like. If you've ever seen X-Men,
Nightcrawler.
He has beast feet. He's got beast feet and like giant hands and like a giant like. This sounds really weird, but a giant mouth.
Oh my god! I've said this before.
Fit a can in
he's
his
the
mouth.
living plastic man.
Yeah, he's rubber. He's made out of rubber.
He can change any feature of his face like it's nothing. It's honestly scary. I don't even know what I was gonna say. You just distracted me so bad.
But yeah, like, and I feel like that kind of great, like, even though I'm bigger than Josh, you know, more muscular, more buff, probably stronger, and he's definitely a lot weaker than me. I feel like his potential.
Don't let him hear you say that. You guys are gonna wrestle again.
I feel like his potential. I feel like his potential is greater because, like, he's just got like a larger stature. You know what I'm saying? Like, my kneecaps aren't as big as Josh's, and I wonder if that has to do with why he can probably squat more than I'll ever be able to squat.
Well, what you said, big joints. What else? What else? Yeah, that was like the only thing.
I don't want to lose my hair either. I was getting a haircut the other day, and I realized that, like, I'm gonna go bald one day, and I had to grapple with that. But then I thought to myself, like, you know what's so fucking soy and beta and pathetic about, like, guys who go bald? Their instant reaction is like, oh, my hairline's receding. Let me just be the bald guy.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, like, why not have, like, the fucking the shit, like, where it's like you don't have anything on the top but you have it on the sides.
That samurai bald spot.
Yeah, like, that is, like, if you just embrace that, like, if the average man wasn't a loser and actually embraced that baldness, we would normalize it throughout society. But now everybody's like, oh, my hairline's receding, let me just shave it all off.
Like, fly to Turkey, get a
it's so sad. I'm doing that though. I cannot live without hair. I'm sorry. Shout out to all the bald men out there, but you need to really consider changing that because you're not.
I think my idea would just be a lot of, like, older dudes. You can, like, tell have just, like, given up on, like, they don't care about, like, turkey fucking hair implants and stuff. They will have, like, these crazy Vegeta hairlines and just rock it.
Yeah.
I feel like the confidence to do that is greater than the beta idea of just shaving your head the first moment you're.
But you know what's so weird? So, like, there's a positive correlation between, like, hair loss and testosterone levels. So, like, it is found that, like, in certain men, like, more testosterone can lead you to going bald quicker.
Yeah.
But I don't know why every time I see a bald dude, I think he's, like, the biggest bitch. Like, I think it's, like, an Anthony Fantano thing. Like, the same way I feel, like, every time I see Anthony Fantano, I just think he's, like, a bitch. And he's bald, so I just associate, like, I'm trying to think, like, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Walter White. Like, these are kind of, like, aggressive, like, hyper-aggressive, like, hyper-masculine figures
Jason Statham.
That are bald, but at the same time, I just don't know why. Like, when I see your fucking, like, your temples, like, your hairline receding, I'm just like, bitch.
Really? What about Vegeta? You think Vegeta's a bitch?
That's normal. That's just regular.
That's just
his forehead. Yeah. Vegeta's not balding.
Okay, you can cope however you want. I know you're the biggest Vegeta fan.
No, I can't if I went bald and you put a gun in my face, I would smile because I just couldn't live without hair. I just had it so long I couldn't, and I feel like, so I'm going to get married one day and I'm going to have a wife and I'm going to have to go home to my wife and sexually satisfy her. And there's a big part of me that is uncomfortable with the thought of my beautiful wife being sexually molested by a bald old man.
I'm sorry if I shouted at you.
And I'm gonna be old one day, and I'm gonna be bald, and I don't like the idea that I think my wife deserves.
You think the moment you lose your hair, you just don't become yourself? Like, you just.
I'll always be strong. I'll always be buff. I'll always be a Chad, but I don't know. Like, I don't like the idea of old men having sex. It's unnatural to me. Like, the most uncomfortable I've ever been is, like, those scenes in Breaking Bad where Walter White is fucking.
I feel like that's kind of grosser, mainly because wasn't he, like, raping Skylar sometimes? like, I think that less to do with it. You know, you changed my mind.
I changed my mind. But I don't like, I don't know why. Maybe this is, like, some weird, like, autism fixation. I really don't like the idea of, like, old.
I mean, I know what you mean.
Of old bald men sleeping with women, because, like, that is just such a like, imagining, like, a woman, like, a beautiful, like, imagine, like, a beautiful, like, tan woman in, like, a sundress with, like, long flowing hair who's like
early 20s.
Early 20s, perky, fucking everything, like perfect hourglass figure.
No
and imagine
wrinkles.
her getting fucking bent over by some fucking disgusting bald guy, like by Greg Paul.
That's like an entire...
Imagine that woman getting bent over by Greg Paul.
That's an entire fixation just with porn in general. Like, I think so many like people are just like, I don't know if it's older people or if just younger people are just like have a weird obsession with older bald dudes. But I mean, it happens in American porn. I know it especially happens in Japanese porn. Like the whole idea of like the what's it called?
Old dirty bastard or something.
That's the rapper. It is something. It's ugly bastard. That's what it is. They call it ugly bastard, but I feel
exactly. That is exactly the perfect way to, like, in my mind. This sounds so. I apologize to all the bald fans out there.
All the bald middle-aged fans.
All the bald RSP
who
fans
love our podcast.
But like, could you imagine like being like in your 40s, your hairline is receding, and like having some poor girl get on her knees to give you like I don't
what
like
if she's into that?
I don't like the idea.
There are some girls who like the idea of older
I know,
men.
but they're like women. They're not going to be right anyway. So like I just don't like the idea of like I don't like the idea of that. Like I want, if my wife is going to give me sloppy, I want it to be like a young stud who's in his 20s forever, even when he's 50.
Yeah,
because that's what she deserves.
But what are you gonna do when you become that old bastard?
I'm never gonna have sex again.
Really? You just go full celibate?
I don't know. I feel like I'd still have sex, but there would be a greater degree of shame afterwards. I would feel like I did something wrong.
You'd cry every time.
I would feel like I was disgracing God.
Yeah, I mean, I won't. I'm gonna be pounded until the day I die, I think.
I mean, I'll always be I'll always be horny.
Yeah.
I'll always want to fuck, but
at what cost?
At what cost? I mean, could you imagine like I wanted you to genuinely like I need you to close your eyes. I need you to picture you in your 40s. Your prime your prime years are behind you. You know that you're not that young stud that you were in your 20s. You're starting to develop a little bit of gut. Your hair's starting to turn.
Here's a real question. Do I love my wife? Does she love me?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a good relationship.
There's no problem.
You think that as long as there's love there, like, the sexual attraction will be there no matter what?
I would hope so, and if not, we might start doing butt stuff. I don't know.
The moment my wife turns 40, I'm never having sex.
Divorce?
I'm not going to get divorced, but, like, I saw this video.
Like, you turn 40 or your wife turns 40?
I feel like the moment we turn 40, like, I feel like most couples... There's got to be, like, I would be really interested to see the amount of, like, married couples in their 40s that, like, once they turn 40, they stop kind of, like, they stop seeing each other as, like, their primary sexual thing, and they start engaging in, like, outside stuff. Like, I would imagine, like, around 40s is probably, like, the time where you see most women, like, probably buy, like, a vibrator. You probably see, like, more 40-year-old men watching porn. Because, like... At a certain point, like, your brain as a human is wired toward a certain archetype for evolutionary purposes. Like, I would say, like, with women, it's probably, like, the archetype is, like, some guy in his 30s who's, like, in decently good shape, who can, like, provide resources. And with a woman, it's or for, like, a man, it's, like, you know, a young, like, fertile woman. And there's, at a certain age, people, like, if you get older... Like, a 60-year-old man and a 60-year-old woman are not going to fulfill those, like, sexual archetypes.
How would you explain MILF and GILF porn? There were so many people out there, or even just DILFs in general, like, the idea of just... Like, there are lots of people out there who like the idea of an older person.
Well, MILFs and DILFs are different, right? A man... I'd say a man... So there's a saying, people say men age like wine, women age like milk. Because a man, like,
but continue.
Let's be honest, like, a man in his 40s is probably, like, more sexually viable than a lot of men in their 20s, because he has a job, he can take you on a date anywhere, like, he doesn't have to worry about money, he's probably going to have his shit together, he's probably going to have his own shit going on, so, like, I would imagine, like, to a lot of women, like, an older man is probably more attractive anyway, because he can provide more for a woman than, like, because, let's be honest, I can't probably provide anything to my girlfriend, like, more so than if I was, like, 40 and had, like, a career and, like, a really good income coming in. So I would imagine for a lot of women, like, that probably is attractive. And when it comes to, like, MILFs, I think that's more of, like, probably, like, just a like weird sexual thing that became normalized, but that probably started out as like some weird perversion. Because anytime like you're looking at somebody's mom and you're thinking like, God, I want to fuck her. Like, it's not like people don't have attractive moms, but it's like, I don't know, like, even if I see, like, an attractive mom, if it's somebody I know, like, my first instant reaction is not, I want to sleep with that person.
I've seen many older women who I would love to show me her ways of years of experience.
But that's like somebody I don't know. Like, if it's somebody I don't know and I see an attractive, but if it's, like, somebody who's, like, is related to me through, like...
What?
Like, for example, let's say your mom, and Bo's mom isn't ugly, trust me, but, like, let's say your mom was like Sofia Vergara. She would still be attractive, but I wouldn't want to sleep with her because it'd be your mom.
If your mom was Sofia Vergara... Dude. I'm sorry, Eli.
You're fucked.
I'm sorry.
Fuck, you're going to hell. You're going to hell. You deserve that hell. That hell was made for you.
Give it to me.
But,
I'll take that risk.
I don't know. I couldn't do it. I feel like I couldn't do it. I just wouldn't... Especially if the dude I was friends with really looked like his mom.
That would be weird.
Like, imagine...
I feel like that's a thing with, like Josh's mom. I feel like they look similar to me.
Yeah, like, that would, that would just never work.
No.
Actually, I take it back. It would work.
Yeah, it might make it better if they really think about it.
But I wouldn't, I just couldn't get behind that because it would be too fucked. Yeah. It would be far too fucked. So I want to take some time to talk about ExpressVPN. No,
I want to take our time to talk about Raid Shadow Legends.
I want to take a time to talk about Brazzers.com.
Our new sponsor. That would be awesome. Imagine if we were like a YouTuber group who got a Brazzer sponsor.
I want to take some time to talk about Jerkbait.
Let's go from GILFs to MILFs. Let's talk about Brazzers.
Let's talk about you posting... So... For the audience, for the context for the audience.
Was this during COVID or was this before? I honestly don't. I think it was during COVID.
Well, let me give the context to the audience. So Bo in high school got in trouble for a lot of like sex related like offenses. And didn't you nearly get expelled from school for posting porn in the official school group chat?
Shut up, dude. That's stupid. No, it was it AP? I think it was A Push, wasn't it? Was it A Push or was it Lang?
I don't think I was in it because I don't remember getting I don't remember the
Okay, well, basically...
I don't remember being in anything that I saw, but I heard about it later. And
we had a bunch of different group chats during high school.
Private group chats, by the way. These weren't, like, orchestrated by the school. These were, like, the students in class.
Yeah, the students would be like, oh, like, does anyone need help with, like, homework? Like, we'll make a group chat for it. So if you needed, like, questions or, like, just, like, anything related to it, like, notifications for tests and stuff.
Yeah.
So we ended up having... I really wish I could remember... If I could remember the name of the chat... I probably still have it somewhere in my phone, just like deep down in my iMessages. But I'll just say it was A Push. I'm pretty sure it was A Push, which is AP US History. And I was in a Discord call at the time, just chatting with friends. And I was also like looking through just like random funny images to send to the AP US History group chat because we weren't really talking about anything important. I then turned off my phone, and then later pulled it back up. And at this point in Discord, it had very similar image sending UIs as iMessage did. They were very similar, Discord and iMessage. So I just go through it and see. You may have seen it before, the GIF of Hulk in the first Avengers movie. Dude, people had this is a classic GIF.
It's a classic GIF to
porn addicts,
freaks. Like it's a classic gift to people who are cool, but not. I feel like the average.
Oh my god!
Like people who listen to Taylor Swift have never seen that before.
People who listen to Taylor Swift have never seen like a periodic table before.
People who listen to Taylor Swift have probably never seen a man that loves them before.
People who listen to Taylor Swift have never seen their father.
But as you're saying, so you. Because I'm trying to remember the details of the story. So.
Basically, I was going to send the iconic Hulk GIF of, in the first Avengers movie, it's Hulk turning to Black Widow with a smile on his face, and Black Widow sort of looking up I don't even know, like in awe?
That's actually not where the gif is from. In the first Avengers movie, he was looking at Captain America, and it was spliced together with a scene from Avengers Age of Ultron. So
I actually didn't know this.
it's actually a scene, it's multiple scenes spliced together. It's the Hulk, it's the scene where Captain America is telling Hulk to smash, and he looks at Captain America and smiles.
He smashed, all right.
And that scene is spliced together with a scene that's either from the first Avengers or Age of Ultron, where Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow kind of looks up in like worry a little bit.
Yeah,
and then it cuts away to an edited clip
of like 3D blender porn of
Yes.
Hulk ramming his green cock into like Scarlett Johansson,
which is technically canonically true within the Marvel universe because they did have
some
sort of relationship. So
but
that's the funny meme.
I thought I was sending this to a Discord chat, and instead I sent it to.
It's funny because iMessage looks nothing like Discord.
Okay, at the time, like the photos, like seriously, if you, this is like impossible to find because
I think do you ever think subconsciously maybe you wanted to send it?
No, I seriously was like screaming whenever I realized what group chat I sent it to. I sent it to a group chat filled with bookworms and like normal people. Like, just like the average high schooler, basically, in an AP US history class. Like, only like 4 or 5 friends in it, and like the other 15 people were just...
So, essentially, not necessarily the population of people that would find Hulk porn funny.
So, immediately, when I realized where I sent it to, I turned my phone onto airplane mode, so that way it wouldn't send. And I'm sitting there in a call with friends, freaking out, trying to figure out a way to remove this like before it sends, just make it so it never delivers. But apparently Apple at the time, they used to have, actually, because I've done this before, like accidentally sent a photo. Yeah. If you went to airplane mode,
the message would fail to send,
and then delete it.
Yeah.
But I tried doing that and it did not work. And I remember our friend Nicole, like specifically, he was like freaking out at me, like, "Oh, it's sent." I thought he was messing with me. No, I sent this chat to. Keep in mind, this is like a group chat filled with like girls that I liked, like people, like girls that I had crushes on,
people that you're actively lying to, trying to make them think that
I'm a normal person.
You didn't like Hulk porn.
But it was a joke. But they would never understand that.
They would never. I mean, you're like. They would never get it.
You don't get it, man. Hulk porn is funny, dude.
Hulk porn is funny.
It's really hilarious.
A giant fucking radioactive monster fucking like a regular attractive woman.
But it's sent, and I was just so embarrassed. Like, I just could. I'm pretty sure it was during COVID, just because of the fact that I don't remember like getting any reactions from people in person. So maybe it was. It was definitely COVID.
So nobody reacted to it? That might actually be worse than if people did, like, if nobody reacted to it. That might actually be, like, psychologically worse for me if... Because I could at least thrive on the awkwardness of people being like, ew, what the fuck? But then, like,
right.
Nobody reacts to it. Nobody says, ugh.
I'm going on my phone right now. I might have the...
Somebody messaged in the group chat, they were like, oh, I love Avengers. And then after that, it's like, oh.
God, what was that group chat called?
I love the Hulk. Oh.
Hulk is so funny. Hold on.
You know what I would have done? Like, because at that point, like, your fate is sealed, right? You've already signed the contract.
You would have doubled down. You would have sent more Hulk porn.
Well, I would have said, I probably wouldn't have sent any more images, but I probably would have sent, like, a speech bubble, like, do you guys like this? Or something.
Was this funny, guys?
Do you guys think this is cool?
Do you guys think, like, can I, like, hang out with you guys after that?
Do you guys want to go on a date? Any of you guys want to... That would be a crazy way to, like, ask somebody on a date, like, go into, like, a group chat full of girls you know from school and be like, does anybody want to go on a date?
After sending the Hulk porn gif?
I mean, I was thinking, like, that, but also just in general. Just in general, going up to, like, a group of women and being like, do any of you guys want to go on a rotate, like instead of targeting one person, just like scatter shot.
Hold on, I'll probably cut part of this out, but I really want to find the. Like, I swear I still have the group chat like somewhere in here. It wasn't Exigence, was it?
It might be. Exigence was one of our school group chats. It was for like. What was it? COVID year or was it before COVID year?
I can't. I'm pretty sure.
I'm a part of Exigence, I think.
I'm pretty sure it was COVID, but I'm not entirely sure.
If it's COVID year, it might not be. I don't think we had any classes during COVID year, so it wouldn't be one that I'm in. So it definitely wasn't a seminar group chat then, because I would have been in that.
You know, if I really, because I remember posting something on my story, basically just like saying sorry to. I think I might have immediately left the group chat.
Oh,
that might
what?
Be it.
Wait, can you leave? I thought you can't leave like Apple group chats once they've started. That's why Apple fucking is awful.
No, it's
on my way.
On my way.
On my way.
On my way. No, it's. I'm pretty sure it was. That's the way it works with fucking. Android groups. Like the moment you add an Android person to the group, you can't leave, but with Apple, you can.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I'm pretty sure.
That's definitely an Apple thing. Did anybody... So you don't have any memories of somebody asking you about
Ukrainian nationalism. That's what the group chat was called.
It's kind of ironic, isn't it? But,
I don't think I have it.
But, like, did anybody... like, nobody asked you about it the next day or anything?
No, I don't think so. That's what makes me think it was during COVID. Just because, like, the fact that I don't remember anyone saying anything. It's also one of those things where, like, people just didn't want to talk about the fact that I posted porn.
Oh, yeah, I guess it was, like, COVID, so you probably didn't, like, see a lot of these people.
I think it was
like,
COVID,
graduation.
But I could entirely be wrong. We'd have to get Nicole in here.
Imagine if you went to graduation and, like, somebody, like, shouted out from the crowd, they're like, Hulk porn!
It's you, you're the Hulk porn guy.
Yo, if we went to like a high school reunion one day and people started calling you Hulk porn, I would like...
That would be really funny.
I'd piss myself. That'd be so funny.
I don't know if I ever told you this. I don't think I've ever told anyone this story. My parents saw it. During graduation, when I threw my cap up, I threw it up like perfect. Like it was like just like perfectly spinning upwards. And it literally hit my eye when it came back down. Even though I had glasses on, I guess the corner like hit the top of my eye or something.
That is like some cartoon ass.
It is. And I have a picture of me, like it was during COVID, so we still had like our masks on and stuff. But we I have like one red eye. It looks like I had pink eye in one eye because and at first I didn't think it was my hat. I was like I thought someone just threw up their hat and it hit me in the face and I was like, "Oh, damn it." But it turns like I asked my parents afterwards, and they were like, "No, dude, that was your hat. Like you just fucked yourself. Like you."
I hit a girl, I think, with my hat.
Really?
Yeah, but it's like, I don't think it bothered her. I mean, there were fucking hats flying everywhere. But
That reminds me of the Josh story with the backpack. Do you know that one?
No, what?
It was during a what's it called? I always hated those events where you had to like sit around and like hype up the sports teams and stuff.
Oh, like the pep rallies?
Yeah, we had a pep rally where our friend Sam.
Oh, I do remember that.
Was on the soccer. Wait, was it soccer? Yeah, he was on the soccer team, and we were all like hyping him up, and Josh stood up. This is like not the one with like the posters. This is a different thing. Mm-hmm. Our friend Josh, stood up and started swinging his backpack around. Do you know where this goes?
I know.
Started swinging his backpack around in circles, but didn't realize that it wasn't fully zipped. So he just poured. Pencils and papers onto the people in front of us. And I don't remember who it was, but she looked at us with like with disgust. Like she just like was like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Oh my God.
And eventually I remember because later in the day on our Instagram story she was like I fucking hate white people. Which I just thought was hilarious.
And it's even funnier because Josh is literally like Hitler's wet dream. Like Josh is like.
Did you know he's in Germany right now?
He is like the whitest. Like he's
an Aryan.
He's the archetype of like a white guy. He's like blonde hair. So I'm just imagining him fucking like. Ah!
If Hitler saw Josh, he would bow down.
Like, I'm just imagining, like...
It's exactly what he did.
Like, just this black chick at her school trying to, like, mind her own business and get him fucking hit with papers and pencils. Because this guy's like, yeah!
It was so... Like, I was, like... It felt embarrassing just, like, being next to him. Like, being his friend. Because I remember
I don't remember that.
I remember apologizing for the people in front of us who got, like, pencils poured on them.
What? I'm just imagining, like... That is like, because nobody else was doing that. I never did that shit.
Dude, it was, I don't know what he was thinking. It wasn't, like, it's a fucking pep rally. There's nothing worth getting that hyped over.
That might have been, because I remember one time where we did hype up Sam.
It was the one before that, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe it was a year before, I don't remember.
But, I might have been sitting with the girl I was dating at the time.
Let's not talk about that.
But that's such a funny story.
I always hated pep rallies. They just felt
really
as someone who like didn't really like play any sports during high school and also just never had many friends on any sports teams. It just never. The only thing that it was good for was just getting out of class early.
But you know why I liked them? I liked them because you get out of class early and because you could, like, if let's say you had like classes at the end of the day where like you didn't have like any of your friends in them and they're really boring, and I don't know why, but for some reason all of my like final classes of the day, none of my friends were ever in them. They're always boring as fuck. My worst classes were always at the end of the day in high school, and it was just nice that like you could just kind of like find your friends in the crowd, sit with them and like talk for like the final part of the day instead of like listening to like Mr. like fucking talk about getting cut by a preacher. So
is that real?
That's real.
I did not know that.
Our teacher, Mr. Father.
No, I gotta cut that out.
Bleep it. Mr. What is the? Let's not even. I don't even know if we should say Mr. Like when you edit this, just say Mr. Beep. Like we should call him.
Just call him Mr. F.
So Gordon was my English teacher, and if you see this, Gordon, you're really like a nice guy, but like I would like kill myself before I switch places with you. I would never want to live your life. But you're a decent man, but very weak, very soy. His wife cheated on him with a pastor, and he's divorced. He's a divorced man.
Some Soprano shit.
He lives alone. He lives in an apartment. It's not.
No kids.
I don't know if he. I mean, he has kids.
But like no kids living with him.
I mean, no good kids.
No kids worth raising.
No kids worth.
Dedicating tens of thousands of dollars.
No kids worth bragging about. Let's say that. And like all obese children.
The eldest daughter.
Yes, but she's like. I feel like if you're that much of a raging whore, I feel like it kind of has the same effect of being fat. Like I just don't look at you as a human.
Just okay.
But anyway. So yeah, horrible. Like just really, if you were to like, if God were to like, if God were grading papers like a teacher, and our life was the assignment, we get a D on the assignment for how pathetic his life is.
Where is this going? Are you just dogging on Mr. Was there a story?
Well, the story was that supposedly that his wife cheated on him with a pastor, and his wife is now, I don't know if she's remarried to the pastor. I don't know if she just fucked him. I mean, that would be even like a part of, if I ever got cheated on, I would hope that if my girlfriend cheated on me, she at least like ended up dating the guy. Like imagine if you get cheated on, like a girl fucks another guy and she's like, oh, I didn't even like him anyway, I just wanted to fuck him. But imagine if you were dating a girl. Okay. Tan skin, white, blonde, big tits.
Mezzo-soprano, that's what I'm imagining right now.
Beautiful, right?
Mezzo-soprano.
And imagine if you find out, you're dating her for like 2 years, you find out she cheated. And you find out that she cheated and the relationship is over. And it's like 2 months, you're still heartbroken, you look her up on Instagram, and she's single. She's not even dating the guy, but she fucked him and ruined your life for it. What do you think about that? I'm crashing out. I don't give a fuck. I'm crashing.
I'd probably just say fuck her and move on.
Really? You wouldn't...
I mean, I'm just saying this because I don't really have much experience with dating or cheating in general.
Let's talk about your love life.
Oh, no. Or no.
Let's skip the first... How old are you?
You know I'm editing
Let's
this.
Skip the first,
I can cut it out.
Let's skip the first 20 years. Let's just talk about the last recent year.
No, dude. It's not
You know what's weird? I think you've technically been on more dates than me. Like, with different women. Technically.
Like, 2 dates?
I've dated... I've taken a girl on an official date 2 times in my life.
I think I have the same number.
It's crazy how blackpilling it is. And I don't know if this is necessarily a man or woman thing, but I will say, like, a majority of the people I've seen it with are women. But it's kind of weird, like, how many women I've met before that will entertain, like, guys that should be on a fucking watch list because of the attention. I knew this one girl. She worked in the same, like, kind of student-run organization that I work with on my campus at my college, and she had, like, a stalker. Like, she worked at first of all, she worked at a GameStop. Like, imagine being a woman working at a GameStop. I couldn't think of a worse hell. But, like, she was working at a GameStop, and this dude came in and, like, I guess tried to hit on her. And we would, you know, our team of people, we'd just be, like, we'd work on shit, and she'd get these random fucking calls. And it would be from this fucking dude, and I'd be like, how, like, you know, like, who is that guy? Because she'd put him on speaker. It was like a joke.
Yeah.
And she'd put him on speaker, and she'd talk to this guy, and we'd all listen and laugh. And, like, the dude was just kind of, like, asking her questions. He was like, how's your day been? How's your day been? Shit like that.
And all you hear is, like, in the background.
Yeah, it was like... But I like some days I would just like ask her, I'd be like why? That's like is that not weird you out a little bit? And she'd be like, oh, it's like it's harmless, it's funny. And I thought like, well, I mean, it's harmless until he decides to do something.
Until he decides to kill you.
Yeah, and like but I just thought like there's this dude at GameStop who has this like weird parasocial obsession with you. And, like, your instant reaction is not to fucking block him anytime he calls you. And I think she might have even said... This makes it even worse. She might have even said that, like, she did block him before, but that he called her.
Oh, my God.
But then I thought to myself, like, that is, like, either you're not thinking of the consequences and you see this as, like, a silly, playful thing, or you were just, like, you like the attention.
Or you're just evil.
Because that's just weird to me. I don't even think she's evil. Because, like, I would fucking laugh at somebody like that, too. I mean, I'd be cautious. I'd be afraid.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's part... I feel like she... Maybe not evil is the right word. Just kind of, like... It's a little cruel. Just, like keep on answering this guy's calls instead of just perma-blocking him.
Yeah.
Just because, like, that... At least... Like, if you give, like, them hope in any, like, sort of way...
Maybe she's, like, a cuck queen, and maybe she's waiting for the right time to where she can get into a relationship and, like, sleep with the guy and then have the guy call him while fucking. But then again, I don't know. Like, it's always really shady because, you know, I was thinking about this the other day. You know, if you go on Twitter, and specifically, like, the pornographic side of Twitter, there's a subsect of OnlyFans girls who are faceless, right? Like,
yeah.
You've seen this before.
I feel like if I did OnlyFans, that would be the way to go.
But sometimes I think to myself, like, how many of these chicks are probably, like, people that you've seen before, like, in real life that you just don't know?
That's a good... They're actually...
Because there's a lot of porn online, and there's a lot of, like, porn where nobody's face is showing. So you have to think, like, what percentage of people have some video of themselves online? And then but, like, I just think about, like... In relation to the story I was previously talking about, like, sometimes, like, I wonder if, like, the story that, like, a woman tells you when it comes to, like, shit like that is, like, the full truth. Because, like, so you met the dude that you work in a GameStop around a bunch of, like, neckbeards, and you're a woman, so it's automatically gonna suck for you no matter what. And this guy comes in, and somehow he gets contact. Like, there's just parts of that story that I'm like, there's more to it. And I'm like, maybe she was selling, like, feet pics, and this guy...
Found the reflection and
yes.
Like some Blade Runner shit where there was a mirror in the background.
There's gotta be some weird
zoomed
aspect.
into 100 megapixels.
Like, you know, I only know her from like a working relationship, so it's like I don't feel comfortable enough to ask like deeper questions. But there's parts of that story that like just make me curious, and it just makes me think you're lying. You're sneaky. You're lying about something.
You're a fucking liar.
You're a fucking liar, homie.
I don't know. Next topic.
Do you think you've ever...
Huh?
Do you think you've ever met a girl that had a little thing going on the side where she was making some money? Maybe she wasn't like throwing some dude... Maybe she wasn't throwing dude some pussy, but she was like... She had... I've met girls who have sold underwear online.
No.
I've actually been friends.
I don't talk to women.
I've had friends... I know someone personally who sold clothes online, but I've had friends who have entertained...
Dude, imagine you just find someone who, like, you know, is like, oh, I'm willing to buy panties off you, and then just get your guy friend to get really sweat, like, go to the gym and sweat his nuts out, and then send that pair of panties.
Oh my god.
That would be the funniest thing.
That would make me fucking vomit.
And then the guy who receives them just loves it. He's like, oh my god.
It's so much different.
You smell like no girl I've ever smelled before. It's amazing.
That is like some weird fucking... Anybody who's like into weird scent shit is so weird to me. But like, again, I've been friends with girls who have entertained the ideas of selling clothes, because you gotta think like, it's probably not as...
Get a cheap pair of panties.
It's not, yeah, you could, it's probably really cheap, it's probably like a great profit margin, and you don't really have to expose anything, like you don't have to send anybody any nudes, you just have to like wear the same underwear for like 2 days and then ship it in the mail. That is like fucking... That is like not like a bad side hustle.
I'm pretty sure in Japan, you know how they have like vending machines for everything?
Yeah.
They have a used panty vending machine. That's a thing.
Nuke 'em.
And I'm pretty sure, again?
Nuke 'em again.
For the third time?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure that... I bet that they aren't even like really used panties. I wouldn't be surprised if they just had like a scent spray that they formed it. Because you can make scent sprays of like anything.
They make shit spray. They make literal asshole spray.
Okay, have you ever seen the show Nathan For You?
Yes.
They make a yogurt flavor that is poop flavored. They actually get the scent of poop and put it into like a flavor where like there's actually no poop particles in it, but it tastes like actual shit.
Yeah.
Like I feel like at that point you could just make sense of anything, not...
Yeah, and I mean it's like just it's when it comes to like human beings like junk, it's just like pheromones. So I imagine like as long as you know the like makeup of it, you could fucking replicate it. But I don't get that. Like I have this video. Like every time, you know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. That video is hilarious.
I put it on everywhere I go. Like I'll show up to somebody's house like for a party, and I'll just like go to their...
Okay, can I Chromecast real quick? Let me show you this pervert who sniffs women's assholes.
It's this video of this guy who reviews like...
I think I have it saved on my watch later.
And Sam hates it. Sam like threatens to leave every time I put it.
It's actually really funny seeing Sam get that uncomfortable. Like,
for the audience, Bo has Bat in the Sun Deadpool versus Joker on his screen right now.
Don't stop exposing this. I actually could add this. Like, I'm recording my screen at the same time. So
just add a clip of the guy like taking a sniff.
I just want to like show you like to prove that I actually have it, because once you sent it to me, I just immediately saved it because it was so funny.
Well, it's like a weird like lolcat, like it's a little internet treasure. Like you would never expect somebody, because first of all, in the video, the guy is like whispering, and he even says in the video, I have to keep quiet because if my girlfriend found out about this, she'd be devastated.
This guy has a whole other woman in the next room, and instead gets off to like some random...
But like imagine if you're like, oh, she can't know about this, she would be devastated. That's what he says. He said she would be devastated.
That's just... That is evil.
You know you got a fucking issue if you're doing shit that like devastates your fucking significant other. It didn't get deleted, did it? No, it's a re-upload. So like re-uploads usually like are less, like I feel like re-uploads are less likely to be deleted than like official content. I don't know what the dude's channel is, but I've researched him before, and he has other videos online. He's like some...
Isn't it like Maximilius or something?
Yes. Just go to your...
Here it is. Lux Maximus.
What did we talk about?
Want to talk about The Last Jedi?
Like the video game? Or no, the movie?
Yeah. Because I like The Last Jedi. I genuinely really enjoy
the head
it.
of it.
It just smells like chemicals.
Because I didn't realize when you bought this
You have to fill it up with your own.
You have to
gas.
fill it up with lighter fluid.
Yeah.
Like with one of these, if you get like a refillable, like
there's a little hole in the bottom.
Yeah, you can fill it with butane, which is a gas, but you have to actually like fill this with like fucking like shit you put on a grill, like lighter fluid.
Yeah.
And there's like a little piece of like cotton and string. Like you can tell this is like some shit from the Vietnam War because it's like fucking, it's a piece of shit.
I just like these cheap $1 lighters.
I need to get, there's like one where you can like, so you can take this part out and you can fill it with like a jet lighter. And
we should talk about smoking. That should be our next topic.
Okay, let's talk about tobacco. Let's talk about tobacco. Let's talk about the process of smoking. And also, let's acknowledge that like, me and you, like we're such cunts because we live in good households. We are both
like middle class.
We're both white, which I'm not saying is a good thing, but it's like
definitely not a bad thing.
Some people like that. That's what I'm saying. But we're both white. We're both like, we both come from good families, and like, how did me and you get into smoking? And also, it's been like 50 years since like scientific research pretty much like proved that smoking is bad for you. So like, how did me and you, two good-looking, tall giga chads,
decide to destroy our lungs and faces with cigarette smoke?
My lungs are still good. I ran like 5 miles yesterday.
I think my lungs are as good as they can be when you went through high school smoking carts all the time.
I think that any good thing, whether it's or any good substance, whether like let's say I don't do it, but there's people out there that really like to do coke. If you're gonna do it, like I think that there's a give and a take to everything. Like if you can keep your body healthy enough, like I think that's probably a little bit better for it. You're probably better off doing coke, but like being in really good shape than you are not doing coke, but being like really out of shape, I would assume. And I think it might be research to suggest that, like at least when it comes to like cigarettes and alcohol.
I don't know about you, but for me, I think it started with just movies and fiction in general. Like I just think I saw so many pieces of like fiction, like movies, shows, games, where a character would just light a cigarette and it just looked like the coolest, like funnest thing ever. Like maybe not fun.
I mean, it definitely looks. There's a look to it. It looks cool, but I wouldn't say like fun. I wouldn't say like I see like somebody smoking a movie. I'm like, oh, I want to do that. But it looks cool. Like I agree with you. It looks
like
cool.
Metal Gear Solid, fucking Better Call Saul. You ever see the movie The Verdict?
Mm-mm.
It's I think you'd like it. It's like a lawyer movie.
Goodfellas is a good example.
Goodfellas,
Yeah.
Casino.
Yeah.
Basically any
Scorsese movie.
I was gonna say that, yeah. The Killers of the Flower Moon, seeing those like hand-rolled cigarettes by that one lady.
Yeah, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, her Angel Eyes will just like
A lot of
have one of those
westerns.
hand-rolled like cigars.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. There were just endless pieces of fiction where...
Well, it's like I would say this translates over to like smoking cigarettes a little bit, but like so I feel like I started at a very high level, like a very sophisticated level, and now I've become a degenerate because the very first thing I ever
Cigars.
the very first tobacco product I ever smoked was like a cigar, and it was like this really shitty fucking gas station grape flavored cigar.
Ugh.
And like imagine fucking grape mixed with the flavor of tobacco. It was fucking awful, but I just like the feeling of it in my hand, right? And then over time, like I think like I was on a trip and I went to Mexico, so the very first cigar I ever smoked was Cohiba. And for anybody who doesn't know, Cohiba is the nationalized tobacco product of Cuba, of communist Cuba, which you cannot buy in the United States. You can't buy Cuban products in the United States. So that's why Cuban cigars are so valued in the United States, because Cuba has like the perfect ratio of like good soil and sunlight.
Did it live up to the hype? Were they better than...
Cuba makes the best tobacco.
But like did it actually, did you feel that? Did you actually like taste it, feel it?
So here's the thing, when it comes to cigars, a lot of people talk about like flavor notes. They're like, oh, this is oaky, or this has like a chocolatey flavor, and that's bullshit. I think that it, like, for me, people do that with wine, right, or with alcohol.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if you don't like you're not gonna be able to fucking gaslight your mind into thinking this bourbon tastes like anything other than bourbon. You either like bourbon or you don't. You can't fool yourself into thinking like, oh, I sense some sweetness. Like, no, it tastes like shit, but if you like bourbon, it tastes good. And I feel like it's the same with tobacco. People say that there's all these, like, flavor notes when it comes to tobacco. My thing is, like, if you like the flavor of tobacco, you're gonna like whatever. It doesn't matter. It all tastes the same. Like, people are like, oh, this cigar tastes different because of these flavor notes. It all tastes the same. It's tobacco, right? But I will say, with Cuban tobacco, there's something about the way it's grown and the way they ferment the leaves and the way it's dried out and spiced that the smoke is so much smoother. Like, it's such a... When you smoke a cigar, you get a lot of, like, peppery, kind of, like, harsh notes. And with Cuban tobacco, it's like the smoke is like butter in your mouth.
I thought there were no accents to cigars.
It's not that, no, it's like, it's more of a texture thing. It's not really a flavor thing. It's more of like the way the smoke kind of like is introduced to your palate. That's how I gauge like the quality of a cigar. If a cigar is good, it's like easy to smoke, and if a cigar sucks, it's fucking bad.
I've never had, like, other than the one like you, me and Josh had at his grandparents' place. I've never had a cigar otherwise.
I was gonna bring some. I really wanted to, but like, the closest place you can get them is like at a local tobacco shop. And this is a message to anybody who fucking like cigars. Like, don't fucking get it from like a gas station or like a tobacco shop. Go to like a cigar lounge and get like a good quality one, because anything else is gonna be fucking shit. But I was gonna get one, but I was gonna get like some regular ones, but I don't know. I like it, but that's how I started. And then I worked so usually I'd say like people smoke cigarettes and then they might vape and then they might have a cigar and then they'll go back to cigarettes. But for me, I started out with cigars. So I love cigars.
I always started with like cigarettes. I definitely I think we've all like hit a vape a couple of times.
But you hit a vape before you ever had a cigarette, right?
That's true, but I mean, I never really... It was just sort of like, oh, I get like a quick rush and then like that's it. But I never bought a vape. I never owned a Juul,
You never bought a vape?
No.
So what were you buying like during high school? Because you definitely had like little
carts, just like
what is the difference between a vape and a cart?
Carts are... I've
never smoked from like any electronic e-cigarette or vape or so I don't know the difference between any of them.
You definitely hit a cart before.
I've hit one, but I don't know the difference. Like, I don't know what makes a vape different from a cart, different from a Juul. Like, I don't know that.
Vapes are just like nicotine juice, whereas carts are concentrated like not concentrated weed, but like concentrated THC. I don't know the exact process, but they press it down and then like pour it into
like an oil.
Yeah, it's like
that you heat up and smoke the vapor of it.
Whereas I think nicotine is just like it's much more like liquidy.
So vape is always nicotine and carts are always THC.
Yes, I don't think they even... That would actually be a crazy development if they made a mixture of the two. But yeah, carts are distinctly different from...
That's what I love about blunts. And people, like, I didn't realize this, but apparently when it comes to rolling blunts, not a lot of people like to admit that the mixture of the tobacco plus the weed like makes it better. I guess that's... I didn't realize that, but I was watching like Joe Rogan and he was interviewing Wiz Khalifa, and apparently that's like in like the weed community or what the fuck ever, like that's like a controversial take if you say that you like the tobacco in a blunt. But I would imagine that's like awesome because you get like the stimulating effects of the tobacco mixed with like the effects of the...
I feel like it's a little different. I feel like nicotine hits your system a lot quicker than like just weed does. Like the tobacco hits your system much quicker. But I don't know. I've only ever had a blunt once. I usually just either smoke weed or smoke cigarettes. It's one or the other.
And I don't know, this might be some fucking retarded logic, but my mentality is always that I would rather smoke something that like burns like paper than something that's like an oil. Because I just like with like a cigar or like a weed or a cigarette, even though they put like with cigarettes, like I know they put chemicals in them, but a cigar is like pure tobacco, weed is pure weed. Like at the end of the day, I know exactly what I'm smoking and I know how it's affecting my like body, and I have no fucking idea what is in a vape. I've always been really cautious about vapes. I always prefer the plant. Plus I feel like I like just as much as I like smoking, I like the ritual of smoking.
I agree with that, mainly because that is like a very distinct point with vapes and just like straight up cigarettes or cigars. like I feel like if I honestly I can say like definitively I could stop smoking at any point and just be completely fine. I only smoke on like weekends. I'll go like 5 days out of the week without ever smoking and just be fine. But if I bought a vape and just had a stick that could just instantly deliver nicotine to my system, I would just never stop hitting it. Which is why I prefer cigarettes over like vaping, just because it only works under certain circumstances.
Exactly. I'm so glad you said that, because I was talking to my stepdad is my stepdad deals with a lot of chronic pain. He has muscular dystrophy, and he works in a kitchen, so he's on his feet all day, plus being like this fucking like chronic health condition. And he's been a fucking pothead for years. But I was talking to him the other day about like how carts kind of changed like weed culture.
I think so too. I remember, just sorry to cut you off,
Go ahead.
But I remember like I feel like I am just much more inclined to get addicted to smoking weed than nicotine, just because I prefer carts. They're like scentless. They don't smell like anything. It's easy. It's quick.
But that's the bad part. That's what me and him were talking about.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like I can just I could just completely destroy and just get fiending about a car just because I'm so used to having it like right next to me at any given point in time. Whereas with nicotine, it's like I just gotta I gotta wait until there's like a time and place to do it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what me and him were talking about, because he works in he's a professionally trained chef, and he runs like 2 restaurants in like our local area, and he's a really great leader, and he's he communicates with like all the people that work under him, but he works in a kitchen, and like this is actually like a well documented thing that like in the restaurant industry, especially when it comes to like trained chef, there's like a big drug problem, and like at best you have like a community, like in a restaurant you have like chefs that probably dabble a little bit. And then at worst, you have like a full-on opioid epidemic. Like the drug problem, the drug problem in the restaurant industry is actually like a really big thing.
The older brother from the Bears.
But I'll say that a lot of people don't realize that being like a chef is one of the few things you can do as like a convict. So when you become a federal, like when you have a federal offense, you become a felon. There's certain jobs you just can't do. You can't work in the government. You can't be a teacher. You can't work in a lot of fields, and ironically, being a chef is one of the few things that ex-convicts can actually do. And so a lot of people don't realize that like the people that are working in restaurants, like a lot of the times it's probably somebody that has a criminal record, because that's the only job you can do.
Right.
And my stepdad is a felon, so that's one of the jobs that he was able to do, and he's been able to actually make a pretty decent living out of it. But with the community that he kind of fosters, he's able to, like a lot of the guys he works with are mostly just like weed smokers, so he doesn't deal with like a lot of like, he's never really dealt with like a lot of like drug abusers. But they're like fucking, like imagine like you're whipping a pot. You're whipping a pot in the kitchen, and you're like, they pass carts around all the time because you can smoke it anywhere.
Right.
But that is what I feel like. I feel like that's kind of robbed. This feels cringe to say, but it's like robbed weed culture of like a lot of the shit that made smoking like really special. Because I remember like when somebody said like, oh, I have some bud. Like, I don't have a cart, but I have like actual like a jar of bud. That is like a celebration, like, because then it becomes a ritual, because like you can't do it in the house, so you gotta like walk into the woods. Somebody has to like get rolling papers.
Everyone's looking around, like making sure like, no one's watching.
There's something special, and I was talking to him about that, and he was talking about like when he was younger, like if you were gonna do that, you had everybody who was gonna do it had to like be in on it. You had to like go into the back porch or go into the woods.
I remember a specific time. I can cut his name out if you feel like it, but it was you. Was it you? I'm pretty sure it was you. You, me, Josh. Went out to smoke, and it might have been Philip, might have been there instead of you. I don't remember. But do you remember what it was like? Sam and were off in the distance.
No, that was Ryan.
That was Ryan?
It was Ryan.
Yeah, me.
I didn't smoke then.
Were you one of the people who were like way off in the distance?
Yeah, I was.
So
I was so weird about it. They were kind of like iffy about it.
Yeah, we basically, me and some friends decided to go off and smoke in like high school or something, and the other friends were like, I don't want to get near it. Like, I don't want to smell.
See, I wasn't weird about it.
This was.
I just viewed it like, for me at the time, I was just like, I just don't want to do it. But they were like kind of like iffy about it. It seemed
like it seemed like they were like very like they were like, it wasn't like they were like a few feet away. No, they were like yards away. They were dozens of meters away from us.
It was so funny.
And I guess I don't really blame them, because I had a similar mentality. Like, before school, RJ and Ryan would smoke like bud all the time, like right before class.
Like the plant.
Yeah.
Like they actually, what were they smoking, like joints?
I'm pretty sure they just had a Jeeb, like a G-bong.
Oh, that's fucking, like, who, like, in whose car?
In Ryan's car.
He was just riding around with that in his car? It's so weird.
And
that's crazy.
He would literally take his water, like, I don't know if you remember, he has like this huge stainless steel water bottle he would bring around in school.
Yeah.
That's what he would use as the Jeeb water.
Wow,
he would pour it into it
hilarious.
and make a Jeeb. And I'd be in there, and I was very cautious of it as well, because I would, I'd basically go in, take one, maybe 2 hits, and then immediately leave the car and start walking.
Yeah. You don't want to, like, ruminate in that smell.
Yeah,
like,
I don't. And to be honest, like, they always, like, called me, like, oh, like, you're such a bitch, you're such a pussy. Like, they would literally call me out all the time for not, staying and, like, getting multiple hits in, or, like, waiting for them. But what ended up happening is, I believe it was Miss who was our English teacher at the time. I probably shouldn't have said that. I'll cut that out.
Fuck her.
But she was pretty cool. She actually I don't know if she played it, but she definitely knew about Fallout. I put Big Iron, like the Big Iron on a we were making soundtracks for songs and stuff, soundtracks for books. Like, if they ever had like a movie adaptation, what songs we put in. I put that on. She was like, oh, you play Fallout? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, she knows Fallout? Basically.
And then she started fucking you.
RJ and Ryan went into that class after smoking in his car, and literally everyone in the class smelt it. Seriously. I was the class before them, and no, the class after them, sorry. Came into the class, and came in and was like, damn, it smells like weed, like, just out loud. and I knew that it was RJ and Ryan, because they had the class before, and I was like, that's what you fucking get. Like, you guys call me bitches for doing that. Another thing was, I would always be like bitchy about like having the weed smell on me, mainly because my dad is like, he used to be a police officer, he used to be a cop, so he would know what weed smells like. Like, there's no doubt in my mind, he would just recognize it, which, like, is just, now that I've like got more experience, there's no way after like a 8-7 hour day that smell is still gonna linger. But even then, I was so worried about teachers and stuff. I do remember specifically, I had a class where I just got like blasted before her class. Like, I hit the Jeep like 2 or 3 times, and I had my head down, and she wanted me to show her my ID, and I just like put it up like this, and she's like,
show your fucking papers.
And she,
show your papers.
Get papers, please. And I put it up to her, and she was like, oh, like, I can't really see it, and I had to like look up, like, I had my head down, and just slid it on the desk basically, because I just acted like I was like tired or something. She's like, oh, I can't really see it, and I had to like lift it up to her fucking. Oh, she was such a bitch.
Her fucking witchy fucking face.
She was such a witch. I'm sure I've told this before, but
fuck her.
Or to you, but she always used to drink tea before class.
Yeah.
And there was one day where she just didn't have any tea packets. So she, like a psychopath, just sat around and drank warm water. Boiled warm water. Like, if you have like a flu or something, like some congestional disease, like something going on.
Something that heat would like help with.
No, it was just like a normal morning, and she was just sipping on hot water. That just seems like the... Oh, like it's
she was doing fucking handstand Goku push-ups.
Oh my god, dude! I remember one time she like hung on like the ceiling like a monkey. I wish that was real.
My favorite, God, we're gonna have to like fucking bleep out people like students.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna bleep out all the.
But like Miss, you can have one of those if you want. But Miss, Miss, my favorite Miss is the fact that, do you remember that video of beating the fuck out of like somebody in her class?
Stop, guys, stop. Like, that would do anything.
I love how like in certain schools like teachers like they're just prohibited from getting involved, so like they can't hold anybody back. They're like, can somebody stop?
I think one of the funniest ones was when like some students were fighting in the hallway and someone punched Miss
Really?
Yeah, they hit Miss.
Like in the face?
I don't know if it was in the face or not. It was either the body or the face. It was like basically like they were like, you know, punching like that, and then whenever they recoil like their hand back, it hit Miss, because she was trying to like guys like trying to get close to them, tell them to stop, and got hit in the process. And I remember at some point she was like, "Man, I should sue their asses," like some shit like that, which is really funny.
But yeah, I like I think that's what I like about cigars, right? Because cigars are one of those things that
Backtrack.
you can't do it anywhere.
Yeah.
Like it has a very like, and you've been around me when I've smoked before. Like it's a lot different than a cigarette. Like a cigarette has kind of like,
it's like quick and easy.
A cigarette is quick and easy, but it has like a range to it, right? Like there are a lot of people like who like, I'm used to the smell of nicotine because everybody in my family smokes. But there are a lot of people who kind of like find it like an unpleasant thing to be around. Like nobody wants to be around a smoker, right?
Yeah.
And with cigars, it's like that times 10, because cigars are like really fucking like pungent. Like you can tell if somebody's smoking a cigar. It's like a very like easily identifiable like smell, and like the smoke is way harsher. So like it's one of those things that like there's a bit of a ritual to it. You can't do it anywhere. You have to be in the right place. You have to be in the right time. And you kind of have to be in like a place that is like made for it. I like smoking in cigar lounges because like they have good chairs, like they're usually playing something on the TV, and they're not mad about you smoking indoors. I like smoking indoors, but that's what I like about it. I feel like it kind of has that similar like effect that like when somebody has like a jar of bud, like, and somebody has rolling papers, it has that effect where it's kind of like a ritual, like that everybody can be a part of. But with smoking like a cart, it's just like, oh, you want to hit the cart? Like that doesn't mean anything. There's nothing maybe I'm being like autistic about it, but that's nothing special about that.
I would say the only special thing about carts is the whole idea of blinkers. Because if you take a blinker, you were just immediately fucked up for like an hour or two. Yeah. Just like completely destroyed. Especially if you have a battery that just is super turned up.
But see, I don't like that, because whenever it comes to weed and alcohol, the best part is like ascending the mountain, right? Like starting slow and like going up that mountain and like hitting that kind of like midway point where like you're just super warm and you're super present and conscious. At least I am. And you're just kind of like observing everything around you. And then you hit the peak. The peak kind of sucks because you can't really breathe and like things are getting like really scary, and then you fucking, depending on how bad the decline is, like some people's decline is like falling straight off a cliff and some people go down steady. But I don't know, I just that's what I like about like cigars. I really wish I would have brought some. I should have had some, but I haven't been to the shop in a while.
I don't remember which president it was, but I remember hearing the story about a president who would stick a sewing needle into the middle of his cigars, so that way when he was in meetings with other like diplomats and stuff, they would anxiously watch his cigar. Like there would be a super long piece of ash, like it should have fallen hours ago, minutes ago, but it just didn't, because he had that piece of metal in it that would keep it steady, and it would always just keep them on edge, like anxiously like watching his every move, which I think is such a cool, like, that is so badass.
This isn't like a cigar smoker story, but I was thinking about it because like this guy's known for like cigars, right? But Fidel Castro, who is the president of the communist leader of Cuba, and you know, he's the reason Cohiba, which is the most popular cigar brand on the world, he's the reason that was created, because he was like the CIA was trying to fucking kill him so bad that like he was really paranoid that they were gonna like poison his cigar, so he made his own like cigar company and factory that eventually became the Cohiba brand, and that is now like the most popular cigar company in the world. But one of my favorite like Fidel Castro stories is you know, Fidel would always walk around in like military fatigues, and you know, like world leaders walk around in suits and shit, but he would wear a military uniform, and like it was really plain. Like when you see a general's uniform, you see all the fucking medals, all the like the stripes and shit.
Do you think Fidel Castro inspired characters like Big Boss?
Oh, definitely, because he was a soldier. Like, I mean, say whatever you think about the political system in Cuba, like, you can't deny that, like, their leader was, like, actual, like, rebel. He was an actual, like, soldier. He wasn't like somebody that, like, you know, JFK in the 60s. JFK was, I think, in the Navy. I mean, JFK was... I mean, JFK was in the military, but he wasn't, you know, he was, like, working, I think, like, logistics on ships. Like, he wasn't, you know, fighting in a fucking jungle, in a Cuban jungle. But one of my favorite Fidel stories is, like, I think, like, an American reporter asked him, like, why he didn't wear any medals or any of those, like, special kind of decorations on, like, his military uniform. And he always used to say that his medal was the country, because he freed Cuba from, like, a dictatorship. So he would say, Cuba is my medal. That's my war medal.
That's
really I just
cool.
thought that was really cool. But yeah, say whatever you want about Cuba, but, like, Fidel was, like, he was an actual soldier. And, like, he was kind of like a Renaissance man. Like, he wasn't just a fighter, but he was, like, an intellectual. He would, like, write. Fucking, I'm sure he played basketball. He's a fucking soldier. That was pretty cool. But,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think another thing with tobacco for me is, it's so cathartic. Every process of smoking a cigarette is just so nice. The lighting, especially if you smoke it at nighttime, you can see that red hot cherry at the end slowly burn down. Like, just the whole, like, putting it out, like, just like, like putting out a cigarette, throwing away, like whenever you see, like, in movies and shows, people like flick the cigarette away out on the street, like it's nothing. Like,
well, there's, like,
everything about it is just so badass.
There's, like, an aristocratic nature to, like, tobacco, right? Because tobacco is a New World plant, and when the Europeans found out that it was a thing, and that it was something that I think the Native Americans were smoking,
forever.
Like, the Native Americans would grow tobacco. They would grow. They domesticated the wild North American. I mean, it was all over the Americas, but they domesticated the tobacco plant, and, like, were smoking it. They were drying out the leaves, and they were rolling them up into these little kind of cigarillos, and they would just, like, fucking put them in their mouth, light them, and smoke them. And that was, like, a Native American tradition all throughout North, South, and Central America. And the aristocrats of Europe, the moment they found out that was a thing, they're like, all right, let's kill them and take it. But that's like an aristocratic thing, because you got to think, like, when a country is getting something for the first time, a majority of the people who are getting that thing are going to be the rich people, because they're the only people that can afford it. Right. So there's, like, I feel like that carries over to the United States, like, especially because, like, a lot of the founding fathers were, like, tobacco farmers. There's, like, this kind of elegance to tobacco as a, like, agricultural product, because it's not something that, like, it's not like food where, like, everybody needs to eat food. Like, not everybody needs to smoke. So it's kind of like the people that do smoke, it's because they have, like, extra money that can be spent on, like, fucking sitting in a room and smoking, like, a cigarette or a cigar.
I never really thought about it, but I feel like that was definitely a point that was made with I forget that character's name, but in Killers of the Flower Moon, how she was always smoking cigarettes, and there's a whole point to be made in that movie about how rich the Native American population was. But I almost feel like that's changed in recent times. Like, if you look at cigarettes now, like, most people, like, they associate cigarettes with, like, lower class, like, dingy.
Well, it's
America.
almost like, I wouldn't say lower class, but I'd say, like, blue collar, right? Like,
that might be fair.
Like,
to
when
say.
you're working with your hands, like, because every time I think of, like, a cigarette smoker, I'm thinking of somebody, like, I don't think of, like, a CEO. I think of, like, somebody who works with their hands.
I feel like it's associated with just, like, stressful jobs.
Yeah. It's associated with, like, people that are in high stress, like, very highly stressful situations. But it's really interesting. Have you ever noticed, and I thought about this a little bit, so, like, Solid Snake, I know this is a weird pivot, but Solid Snake...
This is a great pivot. I love this pivot.
Yeah, I know you're enjoying this. So Solid Snake, always in all the games where he's a character, smokes cigarettes, and Big Boss smokes cigars. I always wondered, like, what the... Like, obviously, it's
Big
a way
dick,
to...
Little dick.
Obviously, it's a way to distinguish the two characters, because they're both, like, clones of each other, and they look similar. So it's like, this guy does this.
Just automatically it would have to do with the time period that it's set in, and the fact that Hideo Kojima was, like, he's obsessed with time periods and stuff, and, you know, at the point that Metal Gear Solid 3 and Metal Gear Solid 5 takes place, that would be, like, when Cuba was having their Cuban Missile Crisis and stuff like that. Whereas with Metal Gear, with just like Metal Gear 1, 2, and 4...
Silky smooth.
Camels. I feel like... actually, this is like kind of getting off topic.
Newports.
What brand do you think Solid Snake would smoke? Like, if you could just choose a brand.
So
that fits his character.
He's a soldier, right?
Okay.
He's a soldier.
Parliaments?
I would want to say, Marlboro's probably the most popular cigarette brand in America. However, because he's a soldier, I would imagine that he'd probably, before anything, I think he'd probably smoke whatever he could get his hands on. But I would say because he's a soldier and he's probably like a stimulant freak, I would say Lucky Strikes.
Oh, dude, I was going to say that.
Those are the most, those are the...
say that.
The
ones they would issue.
The cigarettes that have the most nicotine in them also.
I didn't know that.
Like Marlboros and Camel Crushes don't have as much nicotine as Lucky Strikes.
I immediately thought of Mad Men because apparently that was like whenever that I forget the guy's name, but whenever the main character of Mad Men was in the war, he was like, "Oh, like I like Lucky Strikes because that's
it's kind of an old man thing. Like I'd say like Marlboro Reds and like Lucky Strikes are like old man cigarettes. My fucking my dad's father was in the Navy during like the fucking Korean War, and probably fucking the end of World War II. And he was a big fucking Marlboro Red smoker, and that's probably why he fucking died.
I really didn't get into cigarettes until I had a cabin trip with some friends. It was the one I went with, I don't know if I'll leave this out, but whenever I went with them, I just had all this time, and I already brought a pack of cigarettes with me that I had a couple of just like every once in a while when I went out. But having like so much free time and being in such an outdoor environment where you could just smoke at any time, like we went through that pack so quickly. It was also because I was sharing them with friends and such. Mm-hmm. But I never really got into cigarettes until then, which I know that probably has something to do with the fact that it's an addictive substance. But at the same time, I feel like it was such a nice feeling to hang out with people and like pass a cigarette around. Yeah. Like just like take a drag, pass, like you're done with it, like have them, take as many drags as they want. It gets passed around to you. I know it's not the same as a blunt or a joint or anything, but it has a similar social nature. Yeah. It makes it just connects people. It's so nice.
I was talking, this last semester I had to take a Russian foreign policy class, and how many like normal students are fucking taking that class? I was with a bunch of like autistic people who like were obsessed with fucking Russian history, but I had to take it for like this research paper that I'm doing about the Ukraine war. And one day we all decided to get lunch after class, and I had fucking fuck all else to do, so I tagged along. And I was talking to this one kid who was from Lebanon, and he was talking about how, like, in the United States, the way we treat alcohol and tobacco is flipped when you go to, like, a Muslim country. So in a Muslim country, Lebanon, or, like, in Lebanon, which has a lot of Christians, but there's a good majority of Muslims there, I think. So in the Quran, it says, like, alcohol is forbidden. You can't drink at all.
Yeah.
But, a lot of Muslims, like, in Egypt and Lebanon, and, like, more progressive areas, like as opposed to like maybe like Iran or Saudi Arabia, they actually do drink, but they treat it the same way we treat smoking. So in the United States, if you smoke a cigarette, you're kind of expected to remove yourself a little bit. Like let's say you're at your job, right? I mean, ever since the 60s, you can't smoke indoors, so you kind of have to you have to separate yourself from the space. You have to go outside, you kind of have to be by yourself. Like, maybe if there's somebody else who smokes, you can smoke with them, but you have to separate yourself from the setting.
I just want to say real quick, I think one of our biggest losses as a society is removing smoking sections from restaurants, classes. Imagine if you could sit in class and listen to a lecture with a cigarette. Yeah. That would be...
I would pass the test.
I would be much more inclined to pass the test. Literally, one of the things that I hate most about my campus is that you just can't smoke anywhere.
Yeah.
Despite being
stupid.
Despite being an open campus where there are so many places to sit outside.
You can get a $500 fine on my campus.
I don't know what it is on our campus, but I know there is a fine. But it is so annoying. The fact that I have to walk across the street to smoke a cigarette during after school or after a class or something, which is so infuriating. This is gonna whenever I was watching Oppenheimer and seeing the fact that they were in a college campus smoking cigarettes just around the place, I was so jealous. Yeah. I really wish that would continue what you were saying.
But okay, yeah. So in Muslim countries, it's flipped, right? Yeah. So like in the United States, drinking is a very social thing. if you drink alone, you're seen as like a weird alcoholic. But if you want to drink, you go to a bar, you invite some friends over, you have a bottle of wine. But in Muslim countries, it's different. It's swapped. So if you want to smoke tobacco or like shisha or hookah, you go to a lounge, you get a bunch of your friends.
What is shisha? I don't think I've heard of that.
Shisha and hookah are like the same thing. Like a hookah is like the rig that they smoke tobacco out of.
Yeah.
It's like where they have the little Jabba the Hutt fucking tube. And shisha, I think, is like maybe the strain of tobacco, or maybe that's the like Arabic word. I don't know. It's like synonymous in my mind at least. But you go to like a hookah bar, or you have like a hookah rig in your house, and you set it up, you invite your friends over, and you socially smoke. But drinking is different, because drinking is prohibited by the Quran. So a lot of Muslims have like reservations when it comes to drinking.
Some don't give a
So
fuck.
what they'll do is like they still drink, but because even in the Bible it prohibits like drunkenness, but Christians still drink. So they'll still drink, but they do it away from everybody. Or if you do it, like the men will separate themselves from the women, and like they'll drink away from everybody, because it's seen as like a dirty thing, the way we kind of see cigarettes. So I thought that was really interesting. But shisha might actually be different, because I always have to remember that tobacco is technically a New World plant. Like it's a plant that was only introduced to like Europe and Asia, but they have like not medicinal. They have like shit that they smoke, but it may have like similar effects. Like the way coca leaves kind of like have the same stimulating effect that tobacco, even though they're different plants. So shisha might be the strain of plant that they smoke that has similar effects to tobacco, but it's like, tobacco's the best,
Love tobacco. Tobacco's so nice.
I really, I took a trip to Cuba, or not Cuba, what am I talking about? I took a trip to Mexico.
Fidel Castro.
I took a trip to Mexico, which is like one of the few places like south of the U.S. border where you can like go into like a duty-free place like near a port and get like Cuban products. And I don't, Jacoby, if you're listening to this, I don't regret it, but I do kind of regret like I came back with like a pack of Cuban cigars, like little tiny like Robusto sized like.
And then you got scared at the TSA and you chewed them all, you ate them.
Well, I was able to get them into the United States in their packaging, which I was like pretty glad about, because you can bring them back, but you can't bring them back in that really cool like golden yellow checkered pattern. So you have to like take the bands off of them. You have to like put them in a bag. You can't have them in there too.
And at that point, like if you're gonna sell them to someone, like or show them to someone, like, are these really Cuban?
Yeah, I mean, you can tell if you smoke it. Like you can still appreciate it, but like let's say you wanted to like go to Mexico, get some Cubans, and bring them back to the United States and sell them. Which you can get Cubans in the United States, just really fucking hard, and it's technically illegal, but it's one of those really old archaic laws that nobody cares about. But I brought like a pack of like 3 Cubans, which is fucking, even in Mexico it's expensive. I brought back a pack of 3 Cubans, and I think I gave one of them to I don't remember if me and Jacoby smoked one together or if I gave him his own separate one and I smoked one. But like looking back on it, like I don't know if like I think I don't regret it, because like it's still just a cool experience, because like imagine your first ever cigar being like the best, like there's, you don't really get much better.
It's kind of
like,
fucked up. It's kind of like,
but then I'm thinking like
given your first drug being heroin.
I would really love I would really love to get your opinion. Like I need to get you some regular cigars, like from like Nicaragua, or like in America we smoke a lot of Nicaraguan and I want to say like Dominican, Nicaraguan, and Costa Rican are like where most Americans get their cigars, which they make good products too. Like I think Davidoff, which is like a big brand, that is a big international brand, they do like, I want to say like Dominican Republic cigars, but I want to get you to like smoke a bunch of those and then bring you back a Cuban, because you'll notice the difference like in terms of the texture.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Probably. I would hope so.
But you know what's fucked up? I'm kind of glad I didn't bring cigars, because the worst thing you can do is like smoke a cigarette and get used to having that in your lungs.
That's the thing, I'm so used to that.
And then smoke a cigar and you accidentally inhale it in your lungs, and for the next, it's like taking a blinker. Only, like, you don't have to, like, suck on it for 10 minutes. Like, you inhale a little bit of cigar smoke and you're fucking... It kind of ruins it a little bit.
I think I would do that just naturally. I'm so used to just inhaling. Like, if it has anything to do with smoking, I'm just going to inhale.
Well, you know, some people who smoke cigars, they bring the smoke into their mouth and they kind of, like they like, put the cigar in their mouth, have, like, the smoke fill their mouth, take the cigar out, kind of, like, let it ruminate and then blow it out. And then you have some people that kind of just have the cigar hanging out of their mouth and kind of, like, puff on it. That is me. Like, I just kind of puff on it because that is, like, how... That makes me less inclined to fucking bring it into my lungs and have, like, a big coughing fit. But, the people that, like, smoke cigars and inhale... And there are some people who do that are, like, fucking psychopaths. Like, I think Captain does that.
I feel like that is just naturally just the way I would do it.
So, my mom... You know, my mom works for the same school that I went to high school with, and we had a teacher named Captain who was in the Navy, and everybody called him Captain.
Just call him Captain for now.
Yeah, I'll just call him Captain. Yeah, beep out. But Captain and my mom are both smokers, but Cap smokes cigars, and my mom smokes cigarettes. And every year when it comes to, like, their health insurance, like, which is provided by the school, they have to, like, report that they're a smoker, and they have to, like, take some class so that their insurance doesn't increase in price. Or their insurance, I don't know, something involving, like, their health insurance and, like, smoking. And, you know, Captain is, like... Captain's such an, like... he's such an indignant bastard that my mom said that, like, every year he would just, like, fucking tell them to raise the price because he didn't want to take the course and he didn't want to stop smoking. But my mom talked to him about it because they're both smokers, but they smoke different stuff. And she said he, like, will smoke a cigar and, like, inhale it into his lungs like a fucking cigarette, which is crazy. Because anybody who does that knows how fucking, like, you have to have, like, fucking lungs made out of rock in order to do that.
Those Josh lungs.
You have to have, like, cement lungs in order to do that.
Just, like, real back to, like, take it back to the topic of carts, but Josh had a cart that he smoked in... One full 1 gram.
Carts.
No, a full 1 gram cart that he smoked in one day.
So
that is insanity.
Help me understand a cart in terms of, like, something I could hold in my hand. Like, let's say, like, how much bud would be translated to one cart?
I don't smoke enough bud to equate that. Like, I've just been, like, a cart smoker when it comes to weed most of my life, and then whenever I hang out with people, then I smoke bud.
Well, tell me this: if you buy a fresh cart, how many puffs do you get before it runs out?
I can't even do that either. It just completely depends on the person, what voltage, how much you're using. I would say for
you, like, how long did a cart last you?
That's what I was gonna say. Time wise, I can give you an estimate. Like, if you're really chiefing it, like a week, like a full 1 gram cart. But if you're using it just, like, only nighttime, like maybe like 5 or like 6 hits, 5 to 10 like per night. It could last you 2 to 3 weeks. It just completely depends on the person, the voltage, and your tolerance and stuff. But this is usually something that you have like a 2 weeks before you ever get low. Whereas Josh used 1 in 1 day, which this is like something that even if you don't smoke carts should be, like, jaw dropping. I think.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's not. No normal person would ever do this. You don't even get any benefit from it. I'm pretty sure I've asked him about it, and he says that he doesn't remember anything.
Yeah, there's definitely a law of diminishing returns where, like, whatever good thing you get from it no longer. It's the same with drinking. I mean, at a certain, like, Overton window, you are completely not enjoying
that is one of those situations that I'm just completely... It just shocks me to this day. Like, I could never imagine doing that. It just seems like a complete waste of money and time. Like, it took him, like, an entire day of doing it, and I think he had to go to church later the same day. Which I just imagine... I'm sure he doesn't remember it, but it must have been hell in the moment. Just, like, fast-paced, like, heart beating, bloodshot eyes.
You know what I love about drinking? Is that drinking makes everything a challenge, so everything becomes, like, its own little, like, mini game. Like, fucking walking becomes a minigame. It's I really have to focus on this so I don't look like a dumbass.
That's something that I like about playing games drunk. I love playing, like, a competitive game really fucked up.
Oh my god, if we drink some of that and, like, more of these, we gotta play, like, some Overwatch tonight. I will say this about fucking smoking, if I could give like the audience like advice.
If I could give our 14-year-old viewers.
If I could give the very big dick alpha Chad audience that we have any advice, I'd say that yeah, like bud over everything. You don't fucking know what is in those fucking like. Didn't you buy like a cart that had fucking like metal like shit floating in it? Those cards.
Oh yeah. Oh my god.
Cards.
They were from. I'll have to censor that out. But we basically
somebody we went to school with.
Me and our mutual friend at the time, RJ, had bought cards.
Leave his name out.
Had bought cards. I don't care. Bought cards from this someone that we knew from school who said like, oh, I can get you like some good ones like pretty cheap. And
wasn't he getting them from like his? We really have to believe this out. Wasn't he getting them from like,
he was
fucking parents?
Apparently his dad would like sell carts on the low and just had like a bowl like a Halloween candy
bowl of Chinese carts
of just full of carts, and they were dank vapes. I've always heard bad reputation about these things, but at that point we didn't have any dealers, and I was genuinely they were like 20 $25. I was like might as well, like I'm just curious. So normally your average cart is a very viscous. It's almost like
it's an oil essentially.
It's
right?
like oil, it's more like honey
because it's oil that's extracted from the plant, right?
Yeah, but it's. I feel like and this may just be when I think of oil, I think of like olive oil. I think of something that like moves very quickly.
Well, kind of look. Oh yeah, that's true. It's more. It's just like a really really thick oil.
I think of like a very heavy honey, like a bubble. Will take like if you have like one small bubble and a thing of honey, it'll take a while for it to reach the top.
Yeah.
These were like water. Like you moved it, you could almost slosh it around. Yeah. So
even I know that's fucking
right. And we immediately I looked at it and was like, this is fucked up. I tried. I think I tried one or two just because I was genuinely curious, and I was just like, But
wasn't there shit floating in it?
There was. This is like kind of fiendish on my end. I was genuinely just curious to see how hard, or if at all, if they hit. And I hit it like 2 or 3 times. Headache. Immediate headache. Just felt bad.
That's the heavy metal.
And that's the lead. And immediately I was like, this is just not worth like decreasing my lifetime by 10 years. Like I don't care how good it feels. It's just immediate headache. And the crazy thing is that RJ smoked like half of it.
Oh.
Half. Keep in mind, it was almost like...
Just imagine that going into your system.
It was like like looking at it, it was like a bowl of diarrhea that had little chunks floating around. Seriously, like that is like the best way I can describe it.
You guys literally had the Chinese... Oh shit. Yeah. You guys had the fucking Chinese cards.
Dude, we had the Taiwanese cards. They were so bad.
Like black market
they could not have... Like, we definitely had like smoked plenty of fake carts in the past, but at that point, they at least, smelt and hit like weed. These were just, I can't even describe it. It was just so bad. Also, they were banana flavored.
What? Every single cart I've ever smoked is just straight up. There's no flavoring to it. Like I've never smoked a flavored.
I've had a couple like flavored before. Like most of the time when they're like actual legit, like the flavoring is very light. Like you only get them at the beginning and then they fade off over time. You just get straight weed. But it was that fake banana too, like that extinct banana that like all the banana flavoring is like.
It's the prehistoric banana flavor.
Have you ever heard of it, like the fake banana?
Like Laffy Taffy banana?
Yeah, so Laffy Taffy banana is based off a banana that just doesn't exist anymore. it went extinct in like the 1800s or like early 1900s.
Yeah, when they started to genetically modify shit.
And they just they just went extinct, but people still had like flavorings and stuff. But it was so popular that people used it forever, like to this day. If you eat something that's banana flavored, 9 times out of 10, it's an extinct flavor. You cannot taste that flavor anymore. It's so weird. You think that's a good point to end it?
Yeah, I'll say this to end off the first episode. If you are going to have a social event with a bunch of your friends, preferably guys, because I couldn't think of a worse fucking hell than drinking or smoking with a group of women. But if you have a group of your
debatable.
If you ever debatable, but if you have a group of your boys and you want like something social to do, drink a couple of fucking beers, smoke a couple of fucking cigarettes, take a couple of Zins, smoke some cigars, but if you're going to smoke weed afterwards, get some fresh quality fucking bud. Do not pass around a fucking cart. The experience will be so much richer and better passing around a fucking spliff or a blunt or a fucking joint. Because it's like that human, it's like fucking when you light a fire, when you light a bonfire.
That's another thing I was going to talk
about.
It's
ritualistic. You need it. It's good for the human soul.
That cabin trip where I was smoking cigarettes, there was almost always a campfire lit that we could sit around. I remember at some point we just didn't have a lighter, and you could just go, like, just stick your cigarette in the fire, like find a coal, like a hot coal, and then light it that way. There is nothing that makes me feel more like a cowboy than that experience. It was so cool.
That's where we leave it off. Final point. If you're going to hang out with your friends, start a fire.
Fuck vapes. I'm not going to say fuck cards because I love cards. Eli can say fuck cards. I think they're great.
I'll say fuck cards.
But I think that's a good ending point. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Tune in for the next episode in 3 years whenever we eventually decide to record. We should get a guest on. Who do you think you want to get as a guest?
I mean, it's got to be somebody we know, right? I would say that I want to get...
Who else would we get? What the fuck?
I mean, but, like, it's got to be, like, somebody we're, like, very close with. So I'd say, like, either... I mean, we owe Jacoby.
We do. We actually do.
And I think Josh would be good. And I'm hoping in the future, Sebastian, I'm hoping we can squash the beef. But we'll leave that for next
That's a whole other...
We'll leave that for another...
That's an entire episode in and of itself. I'd love Sam.
Yeah, he'd be good. He'd be a really good guest. But I think Josh, Jacoby, and Sebastian would bring that wildness factor.
They would. Really they definitely have.
Sam would be a very good conversation, but Josh, Sebastian, and Jacoby would be very good content.
They bring a lot more energy compared to like you or me.
Yeah.
I could see that. Okay, that's it. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.